You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, we know one thing. The Shedeur Sanders drama was damn sure good for the NFL draft ratings. No doubt about it. All right? And I think this is partially indicative of why, look, we have to come out and ask now. Could Shedeur go undrafted? The unthinkable, right? The unthinkable. And I also got to thinking, yeah, he was my fourth quarterback ranked that I had ranked, and God knows I'm no NFL expert. I have been, consuming the game for 45 years, but he was my fourth ranked quarterback. But I got to thinking, we've heard a lot about where would these quarterbacks be ranked in comparison to last year, which I think last year will end up being a 1983 kind of NFL draft, historic kind of draft. All right. And I got to thinking, I was like, wow, where would Shedeur? That's something we haven't said. Cam Ward has been brought up, and they have said he would be down in the J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix range. Cam Ward. So that tells you the NFL would have had Shedeur ranked as the 11th or 12th quarterback on the board last year. And evidently, worse than that, the 15th ranked quarterback. I mean, I'm kid you not, because they've taken Dylan Gabriel, Jalen Milroe, and Tyler Shook and Jackson Dart ahead of all. So, I mean, does the 5th, 6th, 7th round now feel more appropriate from a talent standpoint? I also do believe the NFL is sending a message here. All right. I don't know what kind of message. I don't think it's collusion. I don't think the NFL owners got together and decided to make a decision. I think these clubs made the decision on their own. All right. They've got red flags on Shedeur, different kinds of red flags. He's not a criminal. He's not. So let's get to this, and then we'll get to Mike Florio asking a very interesting question that's generated a lot of interest online. And I've often thought about this myself. There's a CBA involved and a bunch of other stuff. And it's about the idea that somebody like Shedeur could just go back to college. Interesting. All right, let's get to this right here. The NFL, as you can see, drew a massive, massive rating. It was the second most watched first round ever. All right. The first round of the NFL draft Thursday averaged 13.6 million viewers across television and digital platforms, according to the league and Nielsen. It was the second most watched first round on record. Now, the draft is televised across 9,000 networks now. Okay. ESPN, NFL Network, and this is the key. ABC, which is a free over-the-air antenna broadcasting network, one of the original three-letter networks. That makes a huge difference. That makes a huge difference. ESPN Deportes, and across the things that are available online. It was an 11% increase over last year. All right, so that's really the comparison here. Is it looks like this draft, now keep in mind, last year was a historic quarterback draft. This draft brought in an extra 1.3 million people over last year. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix Jr., heavy hitters from college football. This drew the most viewers. The second most viewers all time, but this grabbed 1.3 million more viewers than last year. Now, the first round was a record that remains 15.5 million people in 2020. That was the everybody's locked up at home COVID draft, and there was no other sports. Like, people were craving sports badly. Everything was on COVID hiatus. So when the NFL had the draft, holy crap, everybody was fired up for it. So Florio put this out there, and it's got a lot of response, and he's getting destroyed over this. But I think it's okay to talk about this out loud, the idea that could Shedeur explore the option of going back to college? Now, look, there's all kinds of rules in place here. There's a CBA, blah, blah, blah. However, and of course, Florio's a damn lawyer. He suggests, well, Shedeur just sues his way back into college football. Well, that's great, but things get tied up in court. And here's the big fly in the ointment. Let's say everybody just decided, boom, Shedeur can go back to college. He does actually suggest that Shedeur go back and not play for Colorado, but play for a different school. Don't play under his father. Not a bad idea. That part is not a bad idea, because I do believe he's gotten a monstrous amount of bad advice from his dad. Now, that's not Shedeur's fault. Well, he's a grown-ass man, but his dad's an all-time great NFL player and a Hall of Famer. You would assume he would have been safe in listening to his dad. No, I guess not. This was some awful advice he got all the way around, from how he handled the combine, draft interviews, the draft process, all of that. It backfired. We're seeing the mother of all NFL backfires. We've never seen nothing like this in the draft, I don't think, that I can ever remember to this extent. But he does say, hey, go play at a high level away from father, Coach Deion. In other words, try to make chicken salad. Here's the problem with that little tidbit from Florio. And I've often wondered if players that do have eligibility, and it's against the rules, but do I think it maybe should be? I don't know. Let's say a player is in the 5th round. He hasn't heard his name. His agent and that NFL advisory committee they have, well, wait a minute. They told me I was going to be a end of the 1st or 2nd round pick. Well, we're into the 5th round. I haven't heard my name. Do I think maybe there should be a world where the player can literally be like, call the league office, send in paperwork. I've got 2 years left. I'm going back to school. All right? Or I got a year left. I'm going back to college. And during the draft, they're able to pull themselves out of the draft. All right? And go back to school. I don't hate that. I don't know why anybody would necessarily hate that. All right? Because they obviously made this decision partially on the advice of people that's supposed to know. The damn draft pick don't know. All right? So I kind of get Florio's point, but here's the major fly in the ointment. Let's say he went back to school. I can tell you right now, next year's NFL draft class, I don't give a shit if he goes back and wins the national title. He'd automatically be at least the 3rd quarterback next year. All right? The kid out of Penn State, Allard, he's going to be, and Garrett Nussmeier at LSU, those two guys could go 1-2 next year in the draft. A lot of people think Garrett's going to be the number 1 pick. I know you may be thinking, but Arch, I don't think Arch is coming out next year. It's going to be the year after, okay? It's going to be the year after. And if for some reason Arch decided to come out, forget about it. Shedeur would be the 4th quarterback. He would have to shock the world, drop a nuclear bomb in college to come back and end up being one of the top 2 quarterbacks. I just don't think it's going to happen. All right, because I don't think he's got the physical traits. He's not quick, he's not fast, and he doesn't have a cannon. And traits have hurt him here too. All right. The NFL quarterback side has hurt him. No doubt. His lack of traits has hurt. Jalen Milroe, perfect example. I don't think, if I was Jalen, I'd have played another year if I could have. All right. It wasn't a good quarterback season for him, as far as I'm concerned. But maybe he weighed, look at the quarterbacks coming out next year. I better get my ass out. And obviously, it worked. He's already off the board. That also kills every argument about race. Not like Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels and Cam Ward this year didn't already show how absurd that argument is, but Jalen Milroe ends that argument. Boom, it's over. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.